In that late Cretaceous epoch, torn asunder by absolute power and ceaseless strife, every passing minute upon the earth was choked with brutal collisions and ferocious roars. Yet, cradled within a secluded valley wrapped in towering fern trees and impenetrable, heavy mist, an utterly anomalous wonder was unfolding. A behemoth that possessed the hardest bony dome crest on earth, a titan that had clashed madly countless times for territory and pride, was now kneeling meekly upon the damp earth. Tonight, by the gently flickering hearth fire, with this narrative that requires no effort to remember, let us wander into the true life of the pachycephalosaurus who loved to count bioluminescent mushrooms. Listen closely. In the chilling evening breeze of the deep night, there are no shrieks of bone and flesh being torn by talons, nor the thundering stampede of fleeing beasts. There is only an incredibly faint rustling in the grass. It is the creature lowering its head with exquisite slowness, bringing its massive brow, built to withstand monumental impacts, infinitely close to a tiny fungus swaying in the dark. This is the pachycephalosaurus who loved to count glowing mushrooms, and in this ancient midnight where even the wind seems frozen, it has commenced its nightly ritual. Serene and unhurried, using eyes that have shed all ferocity to become clear and heavy with sleep, it patiently counts the faint primeval gleams beneath its feet. 1, 2, 3. This scene, steeped in a wondrous mechanical repetition and a soft luminescence, floats like a silent prehistoric mantra, quietly soothing the restlessness and anxieties of the entire jungle. The fateful fracture of its destiny occurred on a twilight when volcanic ash drifted heavily across the skies, burying the earth under a stark, deathly shroud of dark gray. The air was thick with a pungent stench of sulfur and the bitterness of desiccated plant juices. Every living creature ran in frantic desperation, searching for a haven from the next impending cataclysm. Within this narrow valley, scarred and rutted by torrential downpours, the mushroom-counting pachycephalosaurus faced the most exhausting moment of its existence. Its vitality had been utterly depleted by a territorial duel lasting several hours, and upon its prized thick domed skull, there lingered the searing heat and blunt throbbing born of violent collisions with its peers. That agony radiated down through the solid bone plates, creeping into its neural pathways as an inescapable restlessness that made the world before its eyes tilt and waver. In that primordial era of ruthless survival, a single moment of vulnerability invited swift death, and from the surrounding shadows, the ominous, crisp snaps of predators treading upon dry twigs had begun to echo. It dragged its heavy, sluggish footsteps, one deliberate pace after another, allowing its massive tail to carve a long, solitary furrow through the mire. It could not comprehend why life had to be an endless loop of impact and defense, or why every battle fought to prove its might left behind nothing but an infinite void and aching wounds. Just as it was about to collapse in despair beneath a sheer cliffside, the enclosing darkness suddenly, under the touch of an unspoken force, began to radiate a soft, otherworldly luster. There, cradled on a decaying tree root, a few ancient fungi had quietly kindled their own faint, pristine and ethereal blue light in the absolute dark of the post-sunset world. That glimmer of illumination was incredibly faint. In a prehistoric world accustomed to earth-shaking movements, it resembled a solitary speck of stardust vulnerable to the slightest evening breeze. Yet, to the pachycephalosaurus, whose mind was strained to the absolute breaking point, this light felt like a pair of cool, tender hands that instantly pacified the searing agony atop its head. Its colossal, robust body halted with eerie grace, and its tail, which had been whipping fitfully in high alert, gradually steadied and lowered, resting docility against the damp moss. It inclined its massive, heavy head slowly, not to brace for another brutal impact, but to bring its gaze level with this miniature realm brimming with the miracles of life. Before its eyes, clusters of exquisite bioluminescent fungi spangled the damp soil, breathing with a light, rhythmic slowness that matched the pulse of the night wind, releasing a subtle, comforting fragrance of earth and timber. It found itself transfixed by the one on the far left, a tiny umbrella-shaped cap casting a soft pastel-green halo, standing so pure and untainted in the enveloping darkness. Then, its gaze shifted with measured slowness to the neighbor beside it, the second one, glowing with a soft, neon-blue aura like a tear of starlight fallen to the earth. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. Within its consciousness, it began to enumerate these tiny beacons using an almost instinctual, mesmerizingly slow tempo. This was a miraculous sensation never before experienced in its turbulent lifetime, free from the tyranny of domination, free from the crushing weight of primeval survival, leaving only absolute focus and pure presence. The perilous roars of the surrounding jungle seemed to recede to the outermost edges of the universe, and its once furious heartbeat, aligning with the cadence of its counting, slowed down to an unbelievable, tranquil rhythm. Midnight thoroughly sealed the valley, driving the temperature down to the freezing point as heavy, crystalline frost began to congeal upon the tips of the primeval blades. Yet, throughout this endless night where creatures normally shivered against the biting cold, the mushroom-counting pachycephalosaurus had discovered its own impregnable sanctuary of peace. Slowly bending its robust forelimbs, It allowed its heavy abdomen to settle completely against the warm earth that nurtured countless microscopic lives, assuming a posture of total, blissful surrender. Moonlight filtered through the giant fronds of the fern trees, transforming into mottled ribbons of silver that rested quietly upon its uneven, coarsely scaled spine. Right before its nostrils, those rows of glowing mushrooms continued to blink untiringly, bathing its naturally fearsome visage in a light that made it appear remarkably noble and mild. Within its mind, the ritual of counting persisted. Whenever it completed one cluster, it would tilt its long neck with deliberate care, redirecting its vision toward another glowing patch of grass nearby. 1, 2, 3. Its movements were drawn out infinitely by the passage of time, with every downward glance and upward tilt separated by long, deep, and stabilizing respirations. This unconscious, mechanical repetition generated a powerful hypnotic field in the midnight silence, lulling the giant into a long-lost drowsiness while casting a wave of comfort over the surrounding creatures. A few small mammals, who spent their days navigating the perilous cracks of a predatory world, now peeked their moist noses out from the rocky fissures, sensing this non-violent aura of profound security. Growing brave, they emerged and huddled close to the dinosaur's massive, steady hindquarters, cradled by the faint fluorescence and its radiating warmth, until they too closed their eyes one by one as the night deepened. The celestial river of the galaxy aligned directly over the peaks, where countless stars sparked and spun silently within the abyssal reaches of the cosmos. The endless Cretaceous night seemed to possess no horizon, yet within this midnight devoid of temporal concepts, the mushroom-counting pachycephalosaurus had achieved a profound, absolute reconciliation with its own destiny. No longer a mindless beast condemned to shatter its skull for dominion, it reigned within this starlit, bioluminescent valley as a solitary, elegant sentinel of the night. At the threshold of its subconscious, the halos of the glowing mushrooms expanded infinitely, dissolving into a boundless aerial ocean composed of tender waving auroras. In this dreamscape, it was unburdened by a heavy bone crest, free from the necessity of defensive talons. It became as weightless as a nocturnal breeze, drifting effortlessly through the luminous mists. Its joints, long plagued by the microscopic traumas of lifelong combat, relaxed and uncoiled inch by inch under the restorative grace of deep sleep, drawing in the purest energies of the wild. Listen, its deep rhythmic snore finally commenced, low and beautifully slow, awakening a faint, skin-tingling resonance against the valley cliffs. Each exhale of hot air condensed into a ghostly plume of white mist, which, caught in the delicate fluorescence, settled over the dinosaur eggs and huddled mammals like a soft, silken shroud. Within this absolute stillness where even the volcanoes held their breath, its every counted digit, its every respiration, transformed into the most ancient, sacred totem of rest upon the earth. Time dissolved entirely, leaving only the cadence of its breath and the undying glow to etch the eternal definition of peace across the primeval night. Today, that Cretaceous world of collisions and ash has long since hardened into dark rock layers deep within the earth through tens of millions of years of cosmic stardust migrations. The pachycephalosaurus, who loved to count glowing mushrooms, alongside the fluorescent fungi it held so dear, have dissolved together into silent, ancient fossils. Yet, the unshakable wisdom of peace it uncovered during that freezing, endless night seems to pierce through the dust of eons, echoing softly by our ears tonight. Now, the night has grown exceedingly deep. The clamor outside your window and the accumulated anxieties of the day have receded into the dark, leaving only this tranquil pocket of time belonging solely to you. Can you feel it too? That soft neon blue luminescence drifting from the prehistoric valley, tinged with a delicate aroma of wildwood, silently enveloping your weary body. In this world, you are under no obligation to remain strong at every moment, nor do you need to prove anything to anyone. You may, like that thick-domed giant, let fall all your armaments and hard defenses in the quiet of the night. Let your consciousness follow its agonizingly slow tempo, 1, 2, 3, counting those imaginary minute points of light with a mechanical yet liberating relaxation. As the primeval starlight gently closes within your mind, and you listen to that steady respiration that has vibrated through the crust for millions of years, your eyelids grow heavy, and your physical form becomes weightless. The ancient mists are softly dissolving your lingering attachments, and the warm night folds around you like a vast velvet blanket, cradle holding you in a serene embrace. Sleep now, for the pachycephalosaurus has secured this ultimate primeval sanctuary for you. Close your eyes with a quiet heart, and drift into that sweet dreamland where all noise fades away, leaving only pure, profound peace.